Has anyone ever made you feel unsure about juicing? Like maybe it's not as good for you as you thought? Or how it strips the fiber and can harm your kidneys? Well, after years of juicing, I've heard it all. And here's the weird part. Some of these concerns are actually legit, but only for super absurd reasons. So everyone says that juice has no fiber, and they're partially right, but mostly wrong. Here's why. Take a look at this glass of juice and this bucket of pulp. Guess which one has fiber? They both do. See, there are two types of fiber, soluble and insoluble. Soluble fiber dissolves in water, and guess what juices are mostly made up of? Ding, 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 water. Insoluble fiber comes from the pulp, but since no juicer perfectly removes all the pulp, you're still getting some insoluble fiber too. And if you want even more of that good stuff without your juice tasting like a full-blown smoothie, you have to check out the Huram H70. This juicer leaves a little bit more pulp in your glass, so you get more fiber. It's also one of the fastest juicers to clean on the market thanks to its easy clean technology. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can check out the full review. Now, here's the wild part about fiber. For some people, having less insoluble fiber can actually be better for their digestion. Think of insoluble fiber and bowel movements like cars on a highway. If traffic is already backed up, adding more cars is just gonna make things worse. And according to this study, people with constipation who reduce their fiber intake experience less bloating, abdominal pain, and straining. But for most people with normal digestion, more fiber is usually better. It improves heart health, reduces risk of cancer, and can even help you live longer. Of course, juicing might not give you as much fiber as eating whole fruits and vegetables, but anybody who says juice has no fiber is just flat out lying. The next thing you'll hear is juicing is wasteful. Well, I don't know if you're familiar with these two types of juicers. This first type comes with a basket that has sharp blades which spin at 5,000 rotations per minute. These slice open your fruits and vegetables sort of like a blender, and this can cause the juice to oxidize quicker, meaning you're getting less vitamins, nutrients, and enzymes. These are called centrifugal juicers. They're cheap, but they can be pretty wasteful by leaving you with a ton of wet pulp after juicing. Wet pulp means that the machine didn't extract all the juice from your fruits and vegetables. Now, no juicer is perfect, but this next type of juicer is much, much better. It's more expensive, but it tends to give you drier pulp, so you're not wasting your grocery money on half-juiced fruits and vegetables. It's called a cold press juicer. And the Huram H70, like I mentioned earlier, has this technology. Now, some would argue that the pulp from a juicer is wasteful by itself, but it doesn't have to be. Instead of throwing it out, you can reuse the pulp in baked goods, soups, and even your compost. So if you're using a masticating juicer and you're doing something with the pulp after, juicing isn't wasteful. The next critique about juicing is that it's not filling. Well, when was it supposed to be? I can understand if you're trying to lose weight, you might want to drink something that makes you feel full so you don't eat as much. But otherwise, juices aren't supposed to fill you up. You might be able to use them as a meal replacement, but I don't think they're really meant for that either. When it comes to juices, think of them as more like supplements. Supplements are meant to add or enhance your diet, not replace them. So yes, juices aren't filling, but they'll give you a concentrated dose of vitamins, nutrients, and enzymes, which can be great if you don't like eating fruits and vegetables. Now, you've definitely heard this before, that juicing isn't sustainable long-term. When people say this, I think they're talking about juice fasting or juice cleansing. This is where you starve yourself and drink nothing but juice for several days. And if that's the case, of course it's not gonna be sustainable. I mean, think about it. Eventually you're gonna have to go back to solid foods. And if you snap back to your old habits, there's a huge chance you're just gonna put the weight back on. But if you're anything like me and you just want to juice for overall health, then it's 100% sustainable long term. I drink juice anywhere from 2 to 4 times a week. And I also eat whole fruits and vegetables, chicken, steak, and eggs. Juicing is a way for me to get more vitamins, nutrients, and enzymes. And when I drink juice along with eating a balanced diet, I feel pretty good throughout the week. And on the weeks where I couldn't be bothered eating a salad, I'm still getting those phytonutrients from green juices. So yes, if you don't treat juicing like an extreme measure, it can be easily sustainable and supplement parts of your diet. Now, this part might surprise you, and if you're taking any medications, you're definitely gonna wanna pay attention to what I'm about to share. I can't believe how many people still think this is true. Everyone goes crazy over natural remedies. They think that if it's natural, there's no way it can be bad for you. Well, when you start taking medications, there's the possibility for adverse reactions. Did you know that grapefruit juice blocks an enzyme called CYP3A4? which helps break down many medications. So if you're on antibiotics, cholesterol, blood pressure, heart, or anxiety meds, you're gonna wanna steer clear of grapefruit juice. This can cause these medications to stay in your system longer, giving you unwanted side effects. Grapefruit is one example, but here's another. Have you ever heard about people getting kidney stones from juicing? It's not super common, and you'd probably have to juice a lot of leafy green vegetables for this to happen, but that's because leafy greens have high levels of oxalate, or at least some of them do. Spinach, for example, does. High levels of oxalate can give you kidney stones, or if you have kidney problems, make them worse. But again, you have to juice a lot of this stuff and drink it like every day. So for those reasons, I don't juice grapefruit, and when I'm juicing leafy greens, I only use a handful per batch. So yes, natural substances can be unsafe, but don't freak out. Most fruits and vegetables aren't known to have these weird kinks. As always, just do your research, ask a doctor, and apply moderation. Don't go guzzling 3 bags of juiced leafy greens. Speaking of naturally occurring things, did you know that these tiny little seeds inside an apple contain cyanide? But does that mean juicing apple seeds is poisonous? Well, not exactly. Yes, apple seeds contain cyanide, but the truth is you would need to eat about 200 apple seeds or 40 apple cores to get a fatal dose. Does that mean you should never juice whole apples? It's probably best to core your apples before juicing them, but when I'm feeling lazy, I just toss whole apples in my juicer without any issues. So yes, apple seeds can be poisonous, but only if you juice them in excessive amounts. And we've got to talk about the biggest question that people always ask. Does juicing have too much sugar? Pretend you're about to eat 4 oranges in a row. You peel the first orange and eat it, then you peel the second orange and you eat that. Now you're on to your third, and by that time, you're kind of full and you don't really want another one. With juicing, you'd be able to take all 4 of those oranges, juice them, and drink them in one go. And when you're doing that, the critics are gonna say, you're getting a super concentrated dose of sugar with no fiber. But anybody who knows just a little bit about juicing understands something called the 80-20 rule. 80% vegetables, 20% fruits. If you stick to this rule, you don't have to worry about drinking tons of sugar. Plus, the sugar from fruits isn't necessarily as bad as processed sugars from energy drinks and sodas. Where it starts to get tricky is with something called the glycemic index. The glycemic index is a measure of a food's impact on blood sugar levels. See, when you juice fruits and vegetables because some of the fiber gets removed, they have a higher glycemic index. These spikes in blood sugar can trigger processes in the body that can lead to more inflammation and weight gain. And this is where the juicing naysayers think they've got us. Well, if you want to prevent these massive spikes in blood sugar, it's pretty simple. Don't drink tons of fruit juice on an empty stomach. What I do is I drink my juices slowly with a meal. Sometimes I'll add chia seeds to my juices too. 2 tablespoons gives you 10 grams of fiber and you can't even taste them. When done right, juicing isn't too sugary, and there are ways to prevent blood sugar spikes. And if you want to learn if juicing is good for weight loss, click this video.